Hey guys, this is Megan Elisa from meganelisamedium.com. This is my first video here on YouTube, so hey. I wanted to introduce myself and I wanted to tell you the story of how I found out that I am a psychic medium. Well, my whole life, I was interested in the supernatural and, ghosts and all that sort of stuff, all those sort of shows and, mediums and psychics, they always interested me. I always thought, oh, how cool would that be to do that for your life? I had no idea that I would end up doing it, which is, always sort of funny how that works out. So when I was a child, yeah, I had like a fascination, especially with crystal balls and all that kind of thing. Not that I use a crystal ball with what I do, but I just always found them very fascinating for some reason. I was always very intuitive as a child, very, very sensitive, sensitive to energies, sensitive to anything really. I was always told, that I'm too sensitive and I need to get a thicker skin and all that sort of thing, which I'm sure a lot of you have probably heard in your life as well. But I was sort of like, I can't. This is who I am, and I had to come to terms with that. So, as also maybe many of you, you might have had some difficulties in your childhood with family life and traumas, etc. I also did as well. So it seems to be a common reoccurring theme for many psychics and mediums. So I don't know. I have two theories about this, and this is sort of off topic slightly. But theory one is that either we need those sorts of experiences to have this blossom within us, or number two, which is sort of what I feel is probably more likely, is that we choose, when we come into this life, we choose certain scenarios, we choose a certain family where these things can take place so that those can bloom within us. So that's sort of my feeling about it. You might feel differently, and that's totally okay. It's just my own opinion. So anyway, so back to me and my story. So I did not know that I was a medium. I always did know that I was intuitive. I would often have experiences where I would know things before they happened, or I would see a flash of an image, or I would just have a knowing of something that was happening before it happened. And when I did bring it up to my mother, she often told me, "Oh, it's just a coincidence. It's nothing." And so, I never quite agreed with that. But I went with what I was told, and so, but that happened my whole life, And when I had my own children, which I have two of, they would always say, "How do you know that?" And I would say, "Because I'm psychic." And I was sort of joking, but I wasn't, apparently, because I would just know things. And so a lot of that kind of stuff happened. And then I was also told by my aunt that when I was very little, I would often talk about my great-grandmother who had passed before I was born in front of my grandmother and my aunt. I would talk to her and talk about her to them and say that I was talking to her and things that she said, and that I would see her and that kind of thing. So I don't remember, unfortunately, because I was very young. I would love to have a past life regression done, or just going back to have those sorts of memories come up, or a life between life session would be amazing. To try to remember that, but I do not remember for myself. But I was told by my family, so I'm sure that that's a possibility as well. I also had a lot of different things that I do remember experiencing as a child, of seeing things, moving around, or having an awareness of presences of different things. I just didn't understand what they were. Sometimes it was sort of scary to me, but sometimes it was like just an accepted thing that I thought maybe other people experienced. But I don't know, maybe they do, maybe they don't. But it was just for me, that's what happened for me. So, so that was that. And then when I was in my early 30s, which I'm now 36, I started to have a spiritual reawakening. And, or I refer to it as a reawakening because I feel like I was already having these sorts of experiences without understanding them. And I started to like have this feeling of needing to explore all of it and to understand it and to understand who I am and my role here. And I don't know, I just started questioning all this stuff. So I started reaching out to a local metaphysical bookstore in the area, and which I, you know, before that even I had started to like feel this urging to go there, and I just wasn't. It wasn't like it just wasn't strong enough for some reason at the time. And then all of a sudden, like I knew where to go when it was time. So I don't know if they were like preparing me or what the deal was, why that was coming up, but that's how that happened. So anyway, I started going there. And I also started having a few different people from the store doing readings for me to try to figure out what I was experiencing. So without telling them, you know, the things that were happening, they were, you know, I saw a couple different people. They were picking up on the fact that I was having this opening happening, and these experiences were starting to happen for me. And then I went to someone there that basically said, I believe that you're a medium, a psychic medium, and that, you know, here's this teacher who teaches through the store, and I think you'd really, really like him. And his name is Michael Mayo. And so I got a flyer, and I thought, I don't know, we'll see if I go. I don't know. So, because I wasn't sure that I was a medium, I didn't have any personal experiences for myself yet, but I ended up just going one night, and we did a practice called sitting in the power, where you sit for meditation and you let your thoughts just sort of leave your mind as much as possible. You don't latch onto them, and you observe your breath, and you feel your energy run through your body and expand out your energy, and you then invite your spirit helpers to come and work with you. And to develop you with your mediumistic gifts. So we did that practice, and I experienced something I had never experienced in my life before. And that was a feeling of this energy within me sort of just like burst open and like through my body. And I felt all this like tingling and like this like really strong energy happening. And like all around me, it was just very, very strong, and I was amazed because I'd never had an experience like that before. So there was that. So that was really cool just to even start with. Also, I really, really liked him. He was very down to earth and practical, which for me is huge. I'm not very woo-woo, and some people are very woo-woo, and that's okay. Everyone's different. But for me, I am drawn to the more grounded sorts of teachings and the more practical, down-to-earth stuff. Not to say crystals aren't great. I mean, I have some. There's one back there. I love them. They're absolutely beautiful. They have a beautiful energy about them, and I like to have them in my space and that kind of thing. But I'm not one to say I feel I need to have certain crystals to be able to do things or to have healing or that kind of thing. I believe that power is within myself without needing that. However, it's not my point. Anyway, so going back to my going to this mediumship circle, this development group. So anyway, so I sat in the power, and then Michael was having some people come up to demonstrate mediumship before we went into the one-on-one exercises. So one person went first, and they actually did a reading for me, which was super cool. And then he said, who else would like to try? And I found myself having my hand just like shoot up, just shoot up, like without thought, which was probably not in character for me so much. Especially, it was actually a big group. It was about 20 people. but something within me was like, yes, we're doing this. So he was like, I don't usually let, first time people come and do it, but let's give it a try and see what happens. So I'm like, okay. So I went up there and he guided me on what to do. And I, closed my eyes and I expanded my energy out. And I connected with a spirit energy, a spirit person that came forward. I remember it was a man. I remember feeling it was a man and knowing it was a man and feeling what he felt like. And he was showing me things about him and showing me who he was trying to connect with there in the circle. And I remember the feeling of this swaying feeling happening with me because I remember the energy impacting my energy. And how, I'd never had that kind of experience in such a big way before. I remember just my energy was sort of trying to adjust to it, I think. But it was amazing. I was blown away that I was able to feel that and know that and have that validated. And it was just crazy to me. So I was like, what is happening? What's happening? So basically from that day on, I was like, I'm doing this. This is, it was amazing. It felt right. It felt like, I don't know, it was like something opened up in me that I knew this was my path. So I started going to all of his development circles, basically. So I was going to maybe like 3 a week. So, I don't know if I did that right away, but I was definitely going to like the Sunday Spirit Circle development every week. I was also sitting in the power at home by myself to develop and to get to know my own spiritual guides and that sort of thing. And so, but when I got to a point where there was an option to start to learn to sit for trance development, which is another form of mediumship, I started doing that. So I sit for, mental mediumship, which is, giving messages for loved ones, trance mediumship, which is learning to blend with the other world in a more intimate way where they can speak through you. I know that's maybe sounds crazy to some people, and some people refer to it as channeling, but this is, I feel, a deeper blending with the spirit world, where they're able to take more full control over the faculties of the body and that kind of thing. It's not scary at all. It's graceful and it's beautiful. There's a love that comes with it that's absolutely undescribable. You have to feel it to understand it. So and then I was doing trance healing because I found I was also able to do healing for people. And then I was doing home circle, so I very much immersed myself in this world, and it felt very, very right. So that has all taken the last few years, and I've been very, very dedicated, and it's been beautiful. It's been wonderful. Now, unfortunately, for the first 6 months of my development, my husband was very convinced that I had joined a cult. So he did not understand this world. He's still sort of on the fence about it, which is fine. But so for your family members, sometimes it's a little bit more difficult for them to sort of come around and to understand it, especially if they're not someone that believes in this stuff. Or even worse, thinks that people that do this are trying to swindle people or trying to do bad things. Of course, there are those people in the world, unfortunately, but for the majority of us, we're doing this because we truly want to help people and because this is something we are meant to do if we're willing to follow the path to do it. So, so he thought I had joined a cult, and it was a little bit difficult for a little bit, but he has come around. And I do feel that the more you sort of open up and discuss this with people that you're close with, I feel, and especially if they know you well and they know your character and they know your integrity and your heart, then they know, you wouldn't ever tell them something that wasn't actually true, right? So I feel that they do eventually come around. Of course, if you have family that's very, very religious or very, very closed off to it, you might have issues, and that can happen for some people. But I really feel strongly that it's important to follow your heart, to follow your own path, even when there's people in your life that don't understand it. because I feel living your life as genuinely as possible and your truth is what's going to bring you the most happiness in your life, and for you to be able to step out to really help other people in the best way possible. So anyway, so yeah, so that's basically my story of how I found out that I am a psychic medium, and I'm an evidential psychic medium, which means that it's important to me that when I communicate with either spirit or I blend with somebody's energy to give them psychic messages, that they're able to validate the information that comes forward. So if I'm talking to somebody for a psychic reading, I should be able to bring up, things from their past and things that they're currently dealing with that they can validate before I were to bring up something that might potentially happen in the future. So there's that. And then with the spirit world, it's important that, the essence of the person comes through for who they're trying to communicate with. And that would include, details about their life, maybe a physical description about their character. What were they like? Were they funny? Were they, serious? Specific things and memories shared, sometimes dates and names and all that kind of stuff comes through, and important details that they think that you need to know at the time. And how I work is that I open myself up to the possibility of whatever needs to come through for the person that's sitting in front of me, or if I'm doing a demonstration type of reading, whoever they're coming to to connect with, I let them guide all of it. So I'm just there relaying the experience that I'm having. I don't try to interpret. I don't try to control it. I don't ask them questions. I just let them give what they want to give, because I feel that is the best way for me to work, and it's the most freeing way. So you're not restricting anything that they want to say, because if you can imagine, they're having a conversation through me, right? Can you imagine sitting there next to somebody and they're trying to tell a story to the other person there, and you're like, no, wait, but you have to say it like this, or you can only talk about this specific information. That's basically like how that works if you're, kind of keeping yourself closed off to like only certain things can come through, or you have to say these certain things, or a checklist of some kind. So that's how I work. So if you would like more information about me or booking a reading or anything like that, or I can answer any questions about any of this stuff for you, I'd be happy to do that. If you go to meganalisamedium.com, you can find out more information. And I will definitely be making more videos for my new YouTube channel. I will be doing more education, talking about things in my own experience, and any questions you guys might have, I can address those as well. So anyway, thanks so much for your time, and I hope you enjoyed that. Let me know in the comments below if you have a similar situation with your own development, or if you are questioning if maybe you're a psychic or a medium, and if you need a little guidance to figure that out. Anyway, thanks so much, guys. Bye.